Here we go. Let me know when you're ready. And you have 3 minutes.
All right, I'm just gonna make sure, Jem, are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
Perfect. All right, good morning. I'm Kristen here from Beco Friendly Inc. with my teammates Usama, Griffin, Jem, and Nader here to present to you Beco, the Universal Recycling Sorting Application. So overall, the problem, sorting recycling. Let's say you want to throw something in the recycling and you approach this big bin with multiple different colors and compartments and you have no idea where to put it. So you could either toss it in one of them, not knowing which one, or put it in the garbage. Both of these have problems. If recycling ends up in landfills, obviously it is poor for the environment. However, if you put it in the wrong bin, we also end up with a lower quality of recycling on the output of the recycling plants, meaning we can't actually reuse it. So this is the problem our client wanted us to solve. So we came up with Beco because of approximately 3 subsystems. We have the calendar feature, which allows you never to forget when to put your recycling on the curb by letting you manually input and then getting reminders. We also have the point system, which is a way to incentivize recycling and keep people using our application. So you earn points for all the recycling materials that you scan. And now we're going to do a quick demonstration. We're just going to have to swap screens here to open the website for Jem.
So this is a website. We have points we talked about here and calendar. And this is a demonstration. It reaches to the device's webcam. And here's a demonstration of metal. It tells you to use the blue bin. And I'm going to do one more demonstration with paper. So it tells you to use the black bin.
All right, perfect. So that's approximately how our product works. There we go. All right. So we did some benchmarking, which we saw Recycle and Grow Recycling. These 2 applications were used. So Recycle was where we got our idea for the calendar feature because it allowed, same thing, people to remember their pickup date, and it was very appreciated in the reviews. So we went with that. And Grow Recycling, which is a fun app to teach kids how to recycle, which is where we got our incentivizing from, because we figured, how can we do the same for adults, earning prizes? The software works by using IBM Watson, a visual recognition software, using image detection and AI training. We fed it a couple thousand images of various recycling products. We sorted them ourselves into the different materials and then coded into the website whether paper or plastic or glass went into which bin. For our future plans, we'd like to implement a feedback loop since we were short on time for that, which should allow us to, if the software does not correctly identify the material, the user could implement this, and then we would look it over and it would spit it back into IBM Watson, which would help it learn and correct itself, which would also improve the accuracy of the database, which is another goal. We'd also implement accounts and cookies to store the points and calendar information and obtain prizes and sponsors. Any questions or comments?
Excellent. Thanks, Kristen.
Fantastic.
And everybody in C2. Yes, question and answers.
Yeah, so Sean, I'll go here. I'll go first. Nice presentation. Good job. I like the way that you're, an elegant solution to a simple problem. I'd like to hear some more around the, you just hinted on the rewards and more of that kind of behavioral economics perspective on nudging people towards recycling behaviors. Can you talk a little bit more about what that would do?
Yeah, so I guess I'll take this one. I'm chemical with environmental option to my engineering. So in my environmental engineering class, we did talk a little bit about how to get people to recycle with Dr. Kingsley. And what we kind of learned was that the 3 kind of main broad ways that we could do this or encourage this would either to be restricting and fining, which is not really in the scope of the project. We don't want to be the application that fines people for not recycling, as well as some legal regulations, which once again would be something implemented by the government, such as their plans to ban single-use plastics and the future for Canada. So for us, that left the incentivizing. And that's kind of where we did the benchmarking with the Grow Recycling. We thought, well, if they can get kids to want to recycle by doing something fun, how can we do that for adults? And really personally, I guess as adults, one of the things that I found, at least with other applications, even not for recycling on the market, is that if people can earn coupons and prizes and such just by like scanning their recycling and saying they did it or verifying, we could have a system to verify if we were going to go forward with this. It really is what encourages them and drives them to do things, because people like free stuff. I actually used to work for the Kinney Foundation where we accumulated prizes, so I have a little experience in that area. So yeah.
Okay, but you didn't design that out, that set of functionality, the rewards.
We had kind of planned. So given the time frame, we obviously didn't have time to reach out to people specifically to obtain prizes. But essentially how we had assumed it would, well, not assumed, decided it would work is when you're doing that scan your waste, it kind of gives you a point. In the future, we would really like to develop that further to have, say, let's say you take a little picture of yourself putting it in the bin to make sure you put it in the proper bin, and the system would then give you a point just to make sure people aren't taking free points, I guess.
Yeah, cool, thanks.
Very cool. It's nice to see the prototype in action. I was just wondering if there would be any extension of the functionality where maybe there could be recommendations with best practices when it comes to like label removing or cleaning the products, because like a lot of time that's where I'm confused with the recycling. Is it worth recycling? Is it just going to be sorted or thrown in the garbage? So that pre-sorting is super efficient. But are there any next steps if you had more time that you'd want to further evolve the prototype or the overall product?
I don't know if someone else wants to answer this one or if you guys want me to go ahead.
As we said, okay, I'm gonna take this one. So as we said, we were going to do a feedback loop because we use a cloud service, IBM Medicine. We weren't able to reach to the database, but if you would move this further, we would have our own database, and therefore, like if user would say, no, this was actually a paper, it's not a like metal, then we could change, like take that image and put it to our database and retrain it with our new data. So it would be more efficient, I guess. Yeah.
We also did talk about, we just didn't have, of course, there's limited time for the project. At the beginning, we had also had plans to implement before the feedback loop, saying, or after, one of the two, have you cleaned the recycling and moved all of the labels? And then if you said no, you would not like potentially get points. Or if you said yes, then it'd be like, perfect, you're good to go and recycle this. Here's 3 points instead of 1 or something.
Also, one more thing we could add, this would be a hard thing and a lot of work, but for example, if there's grease on like a pizza case, then it wouldn't be recyclable, let's say. And like if we would have enough images to train that, then we would be able to say, no, there's grease. Like we would be able to recognize that. Or if like a wet paper is not recyclable, then we could recognize that, but we just need a bigger data set for that.
Awesome. Yeah, great answer. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, and that ends our 5-minute QA time. So group C7 is next to present.
So hello everyone, our team is Hazel and this is our final product presentation. My name is Alina and my team members are Zach, Hassin and Olafusi.
For the problem statement, the client needs a product that will increase the quality of recycling by providing users with information to help them properly dispose their waste products. Minimal inconvenience should be implemented in this product, and user-friendly application that can be used to amplify the previous 2 criteria above.
Applications. For our product, we wanted it to be accessible and easily navigatable for everyone. We wanted to have a reliable scanning feature as well as the backup for it. We also wanted to create a map that will locate nearby recycling facilities. And of course, we wanted to have an enjoyable user experience. So these are some of the competitors that we came across. So Waste Classifier and Go Green are AR-based apps. They are unfortunately not the most reliable and don't have any backup features to them, whereas the app in the middle, Recycle Academy, is more reliable. However, it's sort of just the information app, and we wanted to have something more fun and enjoyable to use for every day.
So this is what we actually came up with as our final app. So when you first open up the app, what you end up with is a screen where you can scan objects. We tried a lot. Last night I tried getting to work. It didn't really work on mobile. It worked on PCs and other devices. Unfortunately, we have a video ready, but say that doesn't work. Well, we had something for you. Swipe to the left, you go to the left, you have a page right there for you, easily categorized of how to dispose of goods. Paper, it tells you where to go. The information is gotten from the City of Ottawa's website. And once you find an object, let's say it's paper guy, go to recycling bin. Well, we have a map right there for you to go to the nearest location to dispose of that object. And users can easily see how many visitors there are, likes and dislikes. There are some bugs with the app, and you can easily add new items to the database of locations. And the database is easily accessible by anyone. It's which allows for third parties to add or to actually look at the state of their own facilities themselves, whether it be the University of Ottawa or the City of Ottawa or Calgary, whatever city, to see where people are going to recycle, what places aren't, and finding the best place to put items and goods.
So I'm guessing we're running out of time, but we do have the working AR demonstration. And any questions?
Yeah, this is Dinesh here. Thanks for this. This a good presentation. I think it was very informative. Thanks for that. My question is, in terms of your concept, so what we were trying to do was to use AR to identify and classify the different elements. Is that what you attempted to do? So probably, sorry, I missed that part.
I think the goal of us was to actually identify goods, like whether it be paper and like based on their icons or the object themselves, then providing users with information to find like how to properly dispose of it, then provide them a location where they can go to, dispose of that object.
Okay, sounds good. You didn't think about this more for residential purposes to link it to the curbside drop off, like, every 2 weeks, or you were just looking for those items that won't get picked up in curbside and hence you need to go dispose of to city facilities? Is that?
It was more so like, say if you're outside, walking around, you go to like a store, you buy some goods, you eat it, now you're walking around, where do you go to recycle this bag? Where do you go to, maybe you have a battery and you can't really put that on a curbside. Where would you go for that? So that was the idea of like the map itself and like how everything works together. It's like for everyday use. It's not like, so when you're going out of the city or maybe in the middle of like a national park or something.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Here, I like the solution. I like the prototype. The fact that you're actually identifying based on the iconography, you get like a really high level of classification there. I think this would be super useful for like e-waste, hazardous waste. I mean, I've got just shelves of this stuff and I don't know what to do with it. And this is probably a product that I'd be inclined to use to just deal with a lot of that day-to-day waste that's just piling up that you can't necessarily put at the curb. This is the kind of heavy materials that we don't want in the landfills or can't be recycled. So it doesn't make sense to make it somebody else's problem. It'd be nice if we can have that autonomy and independence to take care of our own messes.
Yeah, so just to follow up on Jeff's comment, I agree. Like that, the specific, kind of challenging waste items, it came through in your demo, and I wondered if that was in part the motivator. Like, were you thinking more about generic waste, or were you thinking more specifically about the batteries and the e-waste, the paints and things like that most people have no clue what to do with?
I think it was a bit of both. Like the AR stuff would actually look at the symbols and try to like find a way to provide the proper information how to properly dispose of it. But like we designed it in such a way that it could scale it up to add more and more items with like little to no effort. For instance, with the map and stuff. If you right now only has 2 items on it, which is like a recycling bin and like a battery disposal location, but we designed it in such a way that we can add more stuff with little to no effort.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mostly it's supposed to like either general waste plus like paint and batteries, because we don't really, those are the things that you really need to know how to dispose of, and you don't really want to put them in the trash.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. So if there are no further questions, Team C8 can present next.
Was that households don't really know how to sort their items. So our idea was to come up with something that was easy and effective to help these Ottawa region households. Why is this important? Roughly 52% of garbage items actually end up in the wrong bin. So these are filling up landfills and affecting the environment. So we based our app mostly off of the Waterloo app and the City of Ottawa website. Both were great, but only had one way to tell users how to take care of their waste. So we wanted something with a scanning option to make it easier for these users. So now I'll just show you a little demonstration. So our main app has a search, scan, and game option. The scan is the main piece which opens up the camera, and now you can show your item and it tells you how to dispose of it. And you can do it for a couple different ones. And you can always return home through this button or this one. It uses images we put into a database to recognize labels and stuff. And then for the search option, it takes you to the, and open on my other screen, sorry. It takes you to the Ottawa website where you can say like search up latex paint, and it tells you how to properly dispose of it. And then lastly, we have a game option to help users kind of be more knowledgeable about what they're using. So it's a 7-minute timer with 3 lives and a score, and each wrong answer loses lives. And then you can go through the game and a pop-up will come when you've finished it. And then, so we have a little pros and cons list. Our app is fairly simple and easy to use, but some cons may be that the database will always have to be updated as new labels come out or the items have changed, as well as our current prototype has not been tested on a phone because of the incompatibility between our computers and our phones when we were building and everything. So I can emulate it on my phone, but I just can't use it on my phone. Questions?
Excellent. So you're done with 35 seconds to go.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I like the elegance and the simplicity of your solution. Can you comment on if you had another month, what would you do to improve the design?
We would like to change the database so it was more, it wasn't using images we gave it. I know another group used Google Images, like Google recognition, which I thought was really cool. We didn't think of it at the time, but we would like to do that and possibly do something further with the game to get more users to be more knowledgeable. It was kind of just a thing to educate. So maybe do something like, I'm not sure if you're aware of the app called Trivia Crack, but it's basically head-to-head competitions with other users.
Yeah, awesome. Good, thank you.
Thanks. Really well done. Yeah, it's cool to see the prototype in action. I think you really nailed the problem analysis. The idea of the game is like it's pretty neat. It's often good to like incentivize those users with some kind of like, you know, reward or token or recognition or something like that, to keep them coming back as well too. If we can keep funneling more information and updates, then it's probably a good way to continue that education process rather than having like a one and done, one-off game. But hey, I mean, you could spend a ton of time building out a game. So I think it's nice that you included it. And that's something that we could probably invest a bit more time and effort into.
Yeah, this is Dinesh here. I think this was a great presentation, so thank you for that. And as Jeff also mentioned, the game is an interesting idea to kind of, you know, make that stickiness, and if there's a way to keep giving them information so that there is an incentive for them to come back as well, right? And that whole idea of stickiness is what you have to establish. But I think conceptually all in the right direction. So great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You said,
Go ahead.
oh, do we have time for one more?
Yes.
Yeah, I just had one follow-up question around the link out to the city of Ottawa. Is that something in a future design that you would see bringing that kind of data into the application, or would you always see them going out to the city, and why?
I think it would be something that we could implement into the app. I think if we maybe discuss with the people who built the website, if we could somehow ask for their data or pay for it, and then we could use it like a search in ours. I think it would be pretty cool, especially since they already have like where you can take your garbage and stuff. Like they have locations. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yes, as a former employee of the city, I know that they're publishing some of their data as open data. So it would be cool if you could have verified if there's open data that you need already available.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we have over 1 minute for further questions, but if you don't have any further questions, then we can start with the next team. Oh, good. Excellent. So C9, please get ready.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. This is our app, Plebe Recycling.
So, some context about our app. Recycling creates jobs in the manufacturing and service sectors and boosts the economy. In Ottawa, almost 235 tons of recycling bins are processed each day. However, this is not managed efficiently, and still there's a really great improvement that has to be done.
Okay, so our target audience are people that have trouble recycling, kids that are still learning, like older people that don't really know how to recycle. There's current solutions and alternatives, but they have some problems with them. Like most of them only have accessing like to access nearby locations, or like they have poor image recognition, and they're not really user friendly and require users to look more in for other than just the items being presented to them. Why is solving the problem so important? Because recycling is a massive step towards a more sustainable future, and once like perfected in Ottawa, then we'll be able to taught in other countries and regions as well.
Why ask though? Our app provides a simple layout with not too many functions to assure user friendliness and easy comprehension of the app. It doesn't require internet for people with poor Wi-Fi or any URLs, and it's just a simple image recognition recycling app.
Hang on. I just need to, so sorry. Okay, so quick demo for you guys. So now I'm currently on the app. So as a user, this is the point of view. So first I want to recycle an item. I click recycle. I present
Jeff,
an.
You're not presenting
your screen. You want to unshare your screen so your screen gets bigger so they can see better. Yeah, you just need to
Okay, there we go.
That looks better, yeah.
Okay, there we go. So I scanned in the item and it tells me item recognized. So I press recycle and then I get to pick the bin that it goes into. So in this case, obviously it'd be metal. It tells me that's the correct one so that it can help users figure out how to do it by themselves. Then if it did get it wrong, then I can select what material it was. So in this case, it'd be metal, and I would see that it's metal cans, it would go in the blue bin. Next, when I do scan an item in the consumption screen, this will change the percentages here so I can see the percentage of materials that I've recycled. So in this case, obviously the metal percentage would go up. And if I want more information about these ones, I simply click and I could see some fun facts in different screens. So that's basically the gist of it. Do you guys have any-
Excellent. Time's up. Thanks, guys. Okay, so question and answers.
Okay, this is Dinesh. I'll go first. So great presentation, and the way you outlined the problem statement was very spot on. So I think that was great. So if I understood your demo correctly, you're not recommending, and you want the user to put validate whether it goes to blue bin or black bin based on what is being scanned, and based on the accuracy of that, you'll actually, if I misclassify it and classify it as black instead of blue, you would remind the user that it should go to blue. Is that how you intend to do it?
I can take that question, yeah?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so basically we didn't have time to demonstrate everything, but if you click on any other bin that's like the wrong bin, it will basically just tell you it's the wrong bin and need to try again. And if you press on try again, it will just like, you have to keep trying till you get the right bin. And the purpose of that is to kind of like get the user to kind of get used to how to recycle and memorize stuff more than just like it telling, like if the app just told you, well, it's plastic, then you probably just a lot easier for you and stuff. But then if it's like out of the game mode, then I think it's kind of easier to remember and learn. So that's why we did that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I think it's a really smart way to educate the user through practice, right? Instead of just, giving them the information directly, it's kind of leading them down that path of education, which I think is really smart. Be curious though how you'd handle a challenge with like a mixed medium, right? That has like plastic and metal, or some containers have different types of materials. What was the biggest challenge, or what do you think is the biggest challenge you face with this kind of prototype?
I would think the biggest challenge for this prototype is the database itself. So obviously with the limited time we had, there was only so many images and objects we could add into the database. And we wanted to have a database because it would allow the users to not need Wi-Fi. So that means that they could use it pretty much anywhere that they'd go. So ultimately, I think it comes down to us having more time and to be able to expand the database, because the bigger the database, the more accurate pretty much everything would be. So even if something was a mixed object in the database, we'd still be able to tell you where it would go.
Can I include in that, Jad, just a tiny bit? That's why we included the "they would get it wrong" button. It's because it's a possibility for the user to also educate the app to increase the reliability of it in the future.
That's very smart. Thanks, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So just along the theme of the get it wrong and rewards or pick and tell kind of model, did you think or would you plan in future releases to kind of add more beyond the the initial guess and get it right kind of notion to truly make it more of a game?
I'm not sure I understand your question. So add more in the sense of like add different features, or like add like bigger subsystems?
Well, so like I've got maybe I missed it, but I've got the last 100 right. Right. So keep a score or things like that, compare against your sister or, something like that.
Beat your neighbor, that competition. Yeah.
Yeah, your neighbor. Yeah, for sure. I get the greenest house on the street.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's why obviously we're presenting it to you guys so that you guys can give us feedback. This is still, it's the prototype that we've come out with, but then again, no prototype, no product is never fully complete. There's always new iterations. So with this feedback that you guys are giving us, and we could for sure go back as a team and look more into it to add some sort of like a leaderboard, some sort of accounts that people could log into and they could compare and see, oh, well, I'm doing better than you. I can recycle better than you, spark up competition amongst neighbors and so on. So we could definitely look into that for the next iterations.
Mm-hmm. All the consumption information is already being saved user-based, so it wouldn't be hard to integrate a point system for each person.
Yeah. Yeah. And so just one last question, going back to your problem statement, you identified kids, so younger, and those less knowledgeable about recycling as your target audiences. Were there any big differences between those two audiences in how you would solve the problem?
I think that's why we when we had our first client meeting, the client really focused on user friendliness. I feel like the user friendliness that we have, the simple app layout without too many functions, that appeals to the older folk so that it's not too complicated for them to use. And for the younger folk, basically it's kind of like you could use it, since many kids nowadays have phones at a really young age. It could just be like a small little like science class edition or something, maybe like a primary school science class.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we've reached the end of our time. All right. So next team is going to be C12. Please get ready.
Hi, welcome to Recycle Savvy. I'm Melissa and my partners are Cole and Scott. So here's our problem statement. Essentially, our goal was to create an app that was fun and user-friendly, but also enhance the public's knowledge and improve recycling overall. These are 3 companies that we use to reference for our own app. iRecycle and RecycleRight are similar. They use a searchable database, which is effective but not overly user-friendly, which is one of the client's biggest desires. They did have a facility locator, which is a feature that we really wanted to include. Eugene was mostly a scanning app. It did cost money, so it wasn't what we were looking for, but we did use the scanning feature for our application. So here I'll show you guys a live demonstration. Unfortunately, Zoom doesn't let me open external links, so this is just a video to include that. So as you can see, it opens the City of Ottawa Recycling. And over here is our game feature. So essentially the user can toss any item really and attempt to get it into the recycling bin. Once they do, they unlock a icon, and that goes into their game library. So now I'll head over to my phone and show you the live, there we go. So this is the screen. Oh, okay, hold up. I'll show it over here then. This is the main screen when you open your application. So here you can scan your items and information about the item will pop up. So here's an example of a couple of them. In the bottom right is your information panel. So here are some articles. You can read them. It opens external links. It's all local articles. Here's our map feature. So all of these icons, this is the University of Ottawa campus. They open panels with the most accessible recycling bin location on the campus. Each one of these is different. And then here's our game library. So as you saw in the video before, once you play the game, you unlock icons, and here's where they are stored. That gives the user some incentive. This also gives the user incentives. It's the rewards. So once an item is scanned, the progress increases and you can unlock different themes or profile pictures. So here's the pastel pink theme, for example. Your profile picture will go up over here above your user's name. And before I showed you guys the recycling schedule, it opens up the external link to the City of Ottawa recycling. Here's our settings page. In order to make the app global, which is one of Mr. Bouchard's desires, we'd like to increase the number of languages that the app is available in.
Thank you, Melissa. And that's your 3 minutes. So I'd like to invite the judges and the client. We didn't actually invite the client. I don't know if the client is in this breakout room, but please ask your questions.
So I'll jump in here. Like good presentation. I really you took the gaming to an extreme, which was kind of fun, and I could see I could see a kid playing that a while. Actually, I could see myself playing that a while. I wondered about the use of the scanning, and so in the demonstration that you provided, there was a contrast issue. I wonder if you recognize that, and we're thinking about how to deal with that when the text appeared. And then I was also wondering about your thoughts on the perseverance of the recommendation, right? So as soon as you pulled the item away, what I was supposed to do with it disappeared. But in a lot of scenarios, I walk out with a bin full of recycling or garbage, and do I scan them all at once and toss them, or can I save a list of, here's what you've scanned today, here's where it needs to go?
So we did have a lot of struggles of trying to get a panel up for our text. The text wasn't showing, and then it was glitching. We'd really like to have color-coded panels, and that are permanent, that you can close yourself. So like paper recycling would be a black panel, and plastic recycling would be a blue panel, and then you would be able to close that yourself if you wanted. We also had a feature in our profile scene where it said My Recycling Habits, and you can track all your recyclables in that feature there.
Okay, thank you. I missed that. Thanks.
Very nice. I just have a question about some of the problem solving. Like you had one line there that was bolded, that improve recycling. Was there one particular aspect or combination of aspects that would play into improvement of recycling?
We would really like it to be a learning platform for people. So with the game, we want to enhance the scenes and create more bins, which would allow people to themselves learn and improve their own recycling habits, which in turn, like, even if most people don't keep an application on their phone for longer than a few months. So once they've learned that, they don't have to keep going back. They know what goes where.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that the game has a ton of potential too. We used to play that waste paper bin all the time with rotating fin and things like that. So it's I think that's a really, really cool aspect. Thanks.
Yeah, this is Dinesh here. Yeah, the game was really cool. So that was good. Just a question, in terms of your thought process, if you had, say, an additional month, what would be the key areas that you would focus on to change, improve, modify? Do you have any thoughts on that?
We'd like to make our map more of a city, not just the campus. And also we'd really like to increase our game. So we'd like to have different features to the game that would make it, there are more incentives for the user to come back and honestly just get addicted to playing the game and learning about recycling.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. So Team C14 AppCycle is next.
Hello, everyone. My name is George Asaba. I'll be presenting the AppCycle app today. Here's the AppCycle team, and evidently our problem, which is, of course, to the resolution of people recycling more properly. We recognize there's a need for an app that is free, simple, and user-friendly, and that raises awareness for recycling. and a solution which is to educate and inform the users with a free app and that is accessible with features such as scanners, guides, and schedules to have a more user-friendly experience. We did a quick little benchmarking comparing ourselves to 2 other apps, which is RecycleBC and Garbage and Recycling Day. And as you can see, it's green all around the board. And of course, especially in the ability to sort the recycling material, which is obviously the most important one. I'm going to pass this over to Christian Patronis for a quick app demo.
So our app is able to run on both Android and Apple devices. For this demonstration, we'll be using it on an Apple device. So if you turn to the screen, you'll see the App Cycle main menu. There's a bit of lag. Yeah, so on the bottom right is a labels button, just in case the user wants to know which types of labels are which. If we select the recycle guide, this is just additional information for the users on different type of recyclable categories. For example, if you select paper, it just gives the user additional information on different types of paper products that lie within the paper category. It also tells the user what type of bin it belongs into. The next button is the how to use. This is just a little tutorial page and additional information for the user, just in case they're new to our app. We also have a My Schedule, which redirects the user to the Ottawa Garbage and Recycle page. Once they select the page, if they scroll down to the Garbage and Recycle collection calendar, they're able to enter their address. For example, I'll just type in an address, and there will pop up a calendar based on their zone in Ottawa. For now, it's a bit of lag, but all in all, you get a calendar based on your zone in Ottawa and different drop-off days for your garbage. Also, we have a scanning portion. This is our final part of our scanning. If you take a plastic product with the triangle symbols on it, if you scan it, the image recognition scans it, and it also tells the user what type of plastic it is and what type of bin it belongs into. You'll also see a notification at the top if you have placed your item in the bin. If you say not yet, it just gives you a little reminder of what type of bin your last scan belongs into. But also there's not really triangle symbols on all products. So we also added image object recognition. So here it says that it's a coffee cup and it tells you to place it in the green bin, but also without the lid because it is plastic. Again, the notification at the top says if you have placed it in the correct bin.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Christian. And that's the end of your presentations. Please, question and answers.
So I'll just ask about that last part. Really good presentation, guys. Thank you. The not yet is an intriguing aspect to it. If I have multiple not yets, is there a list that's maintained for me so that when I do go to the bin, I know where to put things?
That would be a great idea to implement in the future. That's not implemented in our prototype so far, but yeah, that would be a good idea to add. But also we have the recycle guide portion just in case they want like a general idea of the type of product that they scan last. So yeah.
So right now, when I click not yet, it just it gives me the reminder saying, yeah, please don't forget.
Reminder until you place it in the correct bin.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, this is Dinesh. Great presentation. And I also really like the way your app was laid out. I think the design and the way you brought it to work, brought it to life is great. So thank you for that. Also the idea that, you know, you're actually, though you're classifying it based on both options, both including the list available and the actual design which you're scanning, the not yet feature is intriguing, exactly as the previous question I said. And the thought process behind that was basically to ensure that they remember it. Is that what your thought process behind that was?
Yeah, that was basically the idea of it, just to give them a little reminder and kind of gives them like a little bit of memorization on what type of bin for if they scan that object again.
Okay. Okay, so in essence, you're basically saying you kind of internalize based on this experience, so you don't need to come back every time
Yeah.
to decide where to classify. Okay, no, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, really nicely done. App looks pretty good. Like it's nicely polished. It's easy to read and use. One thing that just one additional comment when it goes to like recycling paper, everybody kind of has a good indication. Like, yeah, paper goes in the black bin. What paper doesn't go in the black bin? You showed the coffee cup, right? You know, if it's used, does it go in the green bin? What about like wrapping paper? Is that a different kind of classification? Because those are the small like fringe cases that often people get hung up on. Was there any way you could handle those fringe cases just from like an educational purpose, or?
That part we can also implement in the future. Maybe like other groups have, we redirect the user to the Ottawa page, just in case we don't have it in our database. But yeah, like you said, for the future, we want to expand our database, I guess, for little specific products. Generally, yeah, for the future.
You did a great job with the coffee cup and calling out like, yeah, this goes in the green bin, and make sure, yeah, the lid comes off first, or separating those products. So really well done.
Thank you.
One last question, just on this screen that you're presenting here right now. In the center tile, you've got the recycling guide. How did you come up with those categories?
So we basically just looked online for like very general categories, like recycling categories. There's actually a page by the city that has like different types of categories for different types of bins. So we just based the recycle guide on that page. Like it lets you know what papers lie in this bin, in the green bin, these types of categories like organics. So yeah, we basically based it off of the Ottawa website.
Okay. We have time for some more?
We have about 30 seconds.
Well, so just on that theme, I'll offer up this thought. Maybe a future enhancement is using that guide to address something that I think Jeff brought up, which was more of the fringe items and the ones that are not so obvious, right? Which is where a lot of the problem happens with waste management is, you know, people make a sometimes educated, sometimes not educated guess, and so you know, the tiles in this case in a future design could be the tricky ones, right? Or the ones that just aren't obvious. It's paper, it goes there. Like, you know, I think, you know, deal with some of the more challenging cases than the obvious ones.
Yeah, definitely, that's something for the future.
Thanks. Excellent. Thanks, Sean. That's a good point. And our last team, but not the least, is the Recycle Pack C15.
Good afternoon, judges and students. We are the Recycle Pack. Our team is developing a web API and user interface for a Google Maps style service that any person or company can use or implement themselves, allowing them to locate recycling bins and add bins to the map for everyone to access.
We want to improve the recycling process for everyday materials and have low friction to use the product or service.
We did some research and found products that help with recycling. By looking at the best ones, we came up with 3 different ideas. And the best choice was the public web API with UI. And that is what we are going to show you right now.
So let's look at the application itself. It is a Google style application. Let me update my screen. So on the right side, you see the user interface. On the left side, we're going to touch it later. But the idea is that you can, first of all, for example, we found my geolocation. I see one bin within 1 kilometer. Let's look at a little bit larger radius, let's say 14. And we see cluster of bins appeared right in here. So now let's look at another location. let's say Kingston, Ontario. We're going to Kingston, Ontario, and I know that I already added some bin in here. I can see some information about this bin. I see color, I see recycling material. Now I want to go back, just pressing home, allow location. Now I want to add another bin. Let's do that. Let's say I want to add bin right near me, somewhere in here. Plastic and blue, let's say. We're gonna submit, and there we go. Our new bin is in the system. Now, as we said, this is not just a user interface, it's also an API. API means that other developers will be able to use our database and our data to build another solutions. So let's see how it will work. Right now, we'll call small application. This is my terminal, have nothing to do with the browser. This call will add recycling bin, I think somewhere in this area. I don't remember exactly where. Let's see. So I'm gonna add this one in here. Now, let's update our system. Let's increase our radius. And we can see that bin was added right here. There was no bin before. All right, so this is basically how it works. Again, API plus user interface. API allows other developers to build similar solutions like this map style application using our data, and user interface is pretty much to show off the idea. Now we'll move to the next slide.
So what makes our product special is that it's scalable, reusable, and easy to adopt. Thanks for your listening. If you have any questions, please ask us.
Super cool. It's kind of like a refreshing take. I'm really involved in technology and SDK, so the API configuration is interesting to see, like the potential, right? It really does open the door to new innovations and kind of crowdsourcing for the kind of solutions we want for the future. So that's super smart. Yeah, I can see this being more of a solution for some of the public questions outside of like the standardized waste disposal of blue bin, black bin, green bin, but more of like the e-waste, the hazardous material, the drop-off sites, yard waste, like larger scale and problematic disposals. So it's very interesting to see. But there were a couple of things that maybe we could add to that as well too. It's like, yeah, paint disposal, battery disposal, hazardous waste. I didn't see something for green bin or yard waste or something like that, other than landfill. Where do you want to take it? How much further do you want to go, or do you think you're close to completion?
Yeah, well, we're definitely not close to completion. I would say the main portion of this project is API itself. User interface is really just to show what actually it is, because it would be very not obvious if I would just put some commands in the terminal, right? But the major thing is we're trying to make a very generic API. We are not trying to go in specific. It is not limited to plastic or paper. Only user interface is limited to those types of plastics. The database can handle any generic type of waste. And this is the most important part. We do not want to create something monolithic, which you cannot reuse. We want something very highly reusable, right? We talked about why we're awesome: scalability, reusability, and ease of adoption. Those are the three things that we were very, very focused on.
Just one other follow-up question. All of those plottings and those maps, would that be like crowdsourced, or would that be done by like an individual developer effort? Is that some information that you could have access to, that it's readily available, or is there work that needs to be done in that regard?
Yeah, well, look, when we're talking about API and our database, what really it stores is just a location of recycling bins, information about recycling bins, what type of recycling, what color of the bins that are present on this location, maybe some organization that are related to this database, to this entry in database, like who's servicing, who is responsible for the bin. How developers going to use this API is up to developers, right? We decided that we're going to use a Google Maps style application. We actually use different open source libraries, but somebody can use something else, right? Somebody can make, for example, a game out of it and use the geolocation information of those bins. Yeah, so it's up to developer.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll ask the everybody question. If you had some more time, would you invest more time in refining the API or developing a proof of concept of the API?
Well, again, that's something like we would need to discuss as a team. If you would ask me personally, what I would suggest to do for the team, it's fully invest into development of API.
Yeah, and then sell that sell that API to one of the other teams in the competition.
Well, actually, this is a good question. I don't think selling this API is a good idea. It's a great resource for a public services. It doesn't cost anything for us to develop. It costs something to maintain the database, right? So organizations will be responsible for maintaining. Therefore, I would not like to put any costs on obtaining the source code. It's basically up to organization what they're gonna do with that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, this is Dinesh here. So I think this is a very interesting take through that API first approach. And I guess, as Jeff mentioned, probably any organization or potentially crowdsourcing it, something like that, so that all the potential bins are available and displayable in the user interface, because they're all using the API to update it, and it's always kept current. But there needs to be somebody who owns it and maintains it. But the principle of the design and the thought process, I think, is really good. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for all the great presentations. I don't actually believe that these are things done by first-year students, and these students have never been to Ottawa U yet. That's the funny part, but great potential.
Amazing. Congrats, guys.
It's great stuff.
Good job.
Excellent. So our client has joined our breakout room as well. Mitch, hi.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was consumed in the other side, but I missed a few good ones, but I'll stay here for the rest, I promise.
So we're done with all the presentations, unfortunately, but if you have any specific questions from any of the teams, you're welcome to ask them now, or we'll actually upload the video that you can watch later.
Excellent. So the person responsible for solid waste management programs for the City of Ottawa is actually in the other group watching the other presentation. So I might, she sent me a message and said that this is blowing her away, the quality of the presentations. And I might encourage her to watch the video and come back to some of the teams here later on.
Thanks, that would be fantastic. Okay, so Mitch, you can actually join us in the deliberation room. I'm going to send the judges and yourself and myself. We will all go there. The students, you guys have a bit of a break until the ceremony. So you may choose to stay here or just sign off, and then we'll see you in the main room later. Excellent. So the judges and Mitch, I'll be assigning you to another breakout room very shortly.
That's good. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Good presentations, everybody.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
So are we good to submit the evaluation form, Amanda? Or is that what we discussed before we submit? Or I guess now is the chance to make any last tweaks? We submit and then we see where we're at and then we make the decision from there, I guess.
Please submit it, and I'm actually going to send you a link to the spreadsheet if you need to update your grades, your or if you want to see them, you can go there. Just give me a sec, but please submit definitely.
Sweet, I can actually see the results coming in live on that spreadsheet, which is kind of cool.
Oh, so you have the spreadsheet. Great.
Yeah. So those are the results.